to come shed some light on what is going on. I want everyone to please, because this question I'm asking are questions that have been asked by individuals. And I know that this is an interactive session with us, with our guest. So I'm going to be taking my time towards the end to read out your questions so that they can answer your questions. So please feel free to put down your questions or at the comment section. And I'm sure we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. And I know that I always ask these questions, and I know I believe you don't mind sharing your social media handles with us, and people can contact you in case they have more questions on the way forward regarding this topic and whatever their plans are. Now let's go to the question that I had initially. We already explained that ABA is not a curriculum. So there are some tools, assessment tools that that helps you to identify the deficit skills, and then you now use the principle of ABA to provide. Sorry about that. I have a little cold, so so you have to use the principle of ABA to provide services for these children. Now, let's look at it on a larger scale, where we have children who are in inclusive schools and there are several disabilities. You know, like I said earlier on, most of the examples we'll be giving is on autism, and it's everybody is talking about autism and ABA. Now, considering what ABA is, knowing that it's a science of behavior, okay, and knowing that behavior comes up in everything we do, and we are bringing into the inclusive setting in a school, and we have children who have learning disabilities, particularly with dyslexia. We have children who have ADHD. We have children who have cerebral palsy. How does ABA come in when it comes to that? What is the job of a behavior analyst or a BCBA in that setting? And how, I understand, we all know that it involves a multidisciplinary approach, you know, but how do we put it all together, coming from the ABA perspective and BCBA or whoever is actually in charge of modifying or working on the behavior? But how does that come in? Thinking of the courses a child will take. So for a child who is living with dyslexia, we know that it has to do with reading challenge, sometimes behavior come up and all of that. How does that all work together? And you can pick any child, you can pick any disability, and let us know how ABA comes in and how behavior analysts come in or BCBA come in, knowing that ABA is not a curriculum.
Okay. All right. So first of all, if you're a BCBA, we also want to say that it doesn't mean that you are the know-it-all. Okay. So we have people who have been trained to be able to deal with different kinds of abilities. Okay. So if you're not comfortable dealing with a kid who has dyslexia, right? You don't take that case. It's not part of your scope of practice. You understand? So if I can work with only kids with autism, then I make sure I'm dealing with people with autism. To help kids with ADHD, then I do that too. Some people are not comfortable doing things that are not autism because probably that's where they started training from, right? They got the training from kids with disabilities, with autism. But if you have been in a school or in a training site where you have dyslexia, you have ADHD, you have typical kids with behaviors, right? Or any other disability, then you be comfortable to be able to help these kids out. So we have what we call shaping, right? Part of what we do. We shape a behavior. We shape a behavior to get to where we want it to be. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's say a kid who has writing problem, right? The kid cannot write. You have to teach the kid, starting from how to even hold a pencil. You're shaping the kid's behavior, right, on how to hold a pencil. You do that for a while. When the kid is good with how to hold a pencil, the grip is good, then now we have to do tracing, or maybe just to teach a kid how to just doodle, right? just to see if the kid can just even move their hands. So this are shaping the behavior. It's all what? Getting into how to write, how to hold a pencil, how to move your hands on the paper with a pencil. So you're shaping the behavior towards the writing program. And then we move from that doodling or just writing the lines, straight lines, or curved lines and zigzag. And then we move to tracing a letter. You shape that behavior gradually. So as you're going, you are fading out the tracing so that then they can now individually write the letters. So it's all shaping. You're shaping the behavior to get to where the kid needs to be. You don't just jump guns from, okay, the kid cannot even sit still, right, to eat. And then you're teaching the kid how to sit to eat. It's not working, it won't work. First of all, you need to know that I need to get this kid to be able to sit for 1 second at least, and then shape it to 2 seconds, and then shape it to 5 seconds, and then 2 minutes. So you're shaping the behavior to get to where you want the kid to be, or where the ability that you want the kid to get to. So ABA can be used in everything as long as you know what you are doing. As long as you got some training on what to do, then by all means, a BCBA should be able to do all those things.
So I remember asking a question because these are questions that have been asked, but for the benefit of those who are listening, someone that asked me before, is ABA a curriculum? Because she, what the issue was more like, there was a child with cerebral palsy, and there was a person working with a child, and the child was in an inclusive school, and the child had was not progressing academically, so to say, and this child had no comorbidity. So the lady said to me, when I spoke with the person, I'm not sure the person, the behavior analyst, but she was using the ABA principle according to her, and that the lady said to her that, we are still using the ABA program or something. So all those skills, and this child was in primary school, I think, and this individual has worked with this child for more than 4 years. So she was a bit held back, saying, look, if you work with a child for 4 years and this child has no comorbidity, like a learning disability and it's just cerebral palsy, and even if the child does not have speech, there are other ways of speaking. And if you're calling yourself a behavior analyst or someone using ABA strategy, ABA principle, how come this child is not able to do academic skills? So she asked me that, are there no academic skills in ABA program if you say there's an ABA program? And that's, my response to her was more like what you said, but I wanted it to be out there that, look, ABA, still, you take all of those programs, all of those curriculum, and you can now put ABA into it to ensure that it works. But that's for, I will give an example. She gave an example of probably a child who has issue with writing. So what would be your take on that? Talking about the strategies, I want you to tell us some of the strategies, like reinforcement, and explain, just walk us through it, just for those who might be wondering, what are the strategies? What are you talking about?
Yeah. So with, like she said, all education, special educational teachers should be equipped with ABA.
But are not most times.
They're not.
Yeah, for us back here, we don't have enough BCBA to even equip anyone. So, and now we're going to get to that. That's part of the question we're going to ask. Yeah. For us here, what will you propose? But we're not there yet because I have one or two more questions before we get there. And there are a lot of questions are coming up for you, which I will read and then we'll round up.
Well, with that being said, some of the strategies that we use in the principles are the reinforcement, right? We want to reinforce the kids' behaviors, right? So I know most of us, we don't like at home, for instance. We only catch the kids when they're doing something bad. Stop it! Right? Meanwhile, it has been quiet the whole time. We never said,
you never said, I like the way you were quiet, you know?
Yeah, we never said that. And then all of a sudden, the kid maybe just did something like, and then we're like, what was that for? Like, you only catch a kid when they're doing something bad. It's natural. But more so, when you're dealing with kids with disability, you need to be very careful. Catch them always when they're doing something right and reinforce it. It can be something simple as, they just put the pencil on the table.
I love the way you did that.
I love the way you put your pencil. That's it. That clicks. Next time you will do the same thing again.
True.
Right? But if you're only catching him when he's chewing on the pencil, and they're like, knock that off. What's that? Oh, well, that's all. The only time I get your attention. Okay, then I keep chewing on the pencil.
I keep doing to get your attention. Yes.
Right. So we need to be very careful when we're dealing with kids.
True.
In general, or individuals with disabilities in general.
Even with children without disabilities.
Reinforce the good behaviors. It can, as I said, it doesn't matter how simple that behavior is, reinforce it.
So if I may summarize what you're saying now is, whatever program, so if a child is probably living with dyslexia or whatever disability the child is living with, the school program, the curriculum still stands. All the behavior analyst or the BCBA is doing is trying to find out. So for example, if a child has some behavioral challenges, probably the child, because when we talk about dyslexia, as a matter of fact, it's not like the child is spoiled or whatsoever, but what you want to check out is what is the behavior affecting learning? Why is that behavior affecting learning? And what will I do to ensure? So, but the program, so for example, if the child was in a literacy class goes on, all the behavior analyst does is to check what is affecting the literacy, what is impeding the child from accessing knowledge during literacy. And if it's a behavioral challenge, that's where you come up with a plan, right?
Yeah. Example.
Great.
I mean, I recently did an assessment of the kid. The kid has, all you need to do is to take something out of the kid. Tantrum, punching, kicking. You tell him to write his name, punching, kicking. It doesn't matter what. The behavior is standing in the way of the kid learning.
Yeah. Yes.
So you can't just jump and still be continuing how to teach the kid how to write when you can't control the behavior. First, you need to cool down that behavior, get a reduction, and then you can do the academics to it. I know a lot of parents goes like, oh, they want the kids to be doctors, you know. Unfortunately, it's not all kids with disability who end up like that. Unfortunately. Let's help them to be able to be part of the society. That's the first and foremost thing. Let's help them as much as they can to be able to navigate when you're not around. Education can come later, but how are they able to go even walk into the store without throwing a tantrum because you didn't even buy the candy that they wanted? Right. So if you can't control that, and anytime you go to the store, the kid will throw up a tantrum because you didn't buy something that they needed. Now then, are you so worried about educating them how to say that the multiplication table, or read a whole book? Always the problem is the behavior gets in the way, and they never get any skill acquisition. So what we need to do, let's go in, assess, evaluate, and start from the very top, and then come down.
Okay. Thank you for that. There are two questions that I have for you, and then I'll go to the one that I want both of you to really try and give us tips and ideas on what can be done. Now, talking about ABA training, particularly when you go into for your master's and then you want to study ABA, are there like chances of saying, look, I want to study ABA, but I'm going to be a school counselor, just like you wanted to be to focus on autism?
So you can be a BCBA and become and also be a school psychologist.
Yes, because of the BCBA. Absolutely.
More power. You got more education.
Exactly.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, but then again, to come to the other ones, you can be a BCBA, and then you need to be trained on other fields that you want to branch out to.
Correct.
True. Yes. Those are some of the things I wanted to make clear.
Right. She works at the forensics here in Trenton. I have a friend, or I wouldn't say a friend, but a colleague who is dealing with juvenile delinquencies. She's a BCBA. I have a friend who is into OBM, organizational management.
Yes. I'm very aware of that. Because it's just the belief that BCBA autism or BCBA is cool. So you can branch out into different things.
Into everything that you
want.
Well,
yes. I'm happy that we're clarifying this, and these are things that are done in America, but then bringing it back home. But before we bring it back home, I know there's this I can't really say verbatim, but I know that international applicants for BCBA has been banned, so to say. Is that the right word?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Next year. I think from next year.
From next year, yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, so for everyone who wants to be a BCBA or who wants to, apply the principle of applied behavior analysis, how do we get someone like you over there with the board now have to like cancel all of those? Do they have to rework all of those? And if that is the case, or whatever they're trying to do, what would you advise? And this I want you to just think of it, knowing how it's done over there. Both of you knowing how things are done over there and thinking, Queen B, you're Ghanaian. I keep telling you, Jennifer, there's something about, I think you're Nigerian. Maybe I don't know, but let's just assume, and that's why I love this particular panel, is that we have someone who's over there, we have someone who has been here and understand how things are done over there. If we were to consult with you and say, look, in Nigeria, in Ghana, we want to have our own thing. Yes, we understand that it's been banned and we understand, okay, cultural difference and all that. What are the step-by-step things we should do to be able to say, look, we understand that international, we will not be granted those certificates being international students or applicants. Yeah. What would you advise? So if we were made, let me now use my language, if we had made the Minister of Education, probably regionally for West Africa, and we're talking about this issue of having our certificate under applied behavior analysis, what are the steps we should take? I'm bringing it back home to work for us. I want you to also put your input so that we can see what we're dealing with, knowing what is happening, and now we can customize it to be ours.
All right. So first of all, ABA has a bad reputation in most part of Africa because of how it was done. Even here in the US, it was bad before they had the governing body, before the board was there. ABA was there, but there was no board that was governing the whole thing. So if the board here is not going to be certifying as back home or other region in the world, then now we need to actually get the bull by the horn. Meaning that if we want to really truly do this, we have to have a governing body. Something that would bind and make sure that people are not just doing things on their own and calling themselves BCBAs or calling it ABA and harming other people with that. We need a group, working group, that would be watching. That would be the big brother eye, watching and making sure that we are truly doing things ethically and not harming people. I keep using the word harm because people are harming people out there. So we need something that is working. Some people that like-minded people who know exactly what ABA should look like, how it's supposed to be implemented, who is supposed to be doing it, who is supposed to be giving the supervision, and then we can work from there. We shouldn't just say, oh, now good. The Americans have left us to do our own. Yes, let's do it like the way we can do it. No. We need people who can actually guide us. We can definitely get them to help us set it up the way they did the setting up here. Just replicate it, right? To suit us. Let's forget all the assessments that we're using here. It doesn't work for us. No. The assessment in America is for America. We can also bring out our own assessments to affect every region in Africa. Because when we say Africa, doesn't mean it's not like United States of America. No. Even within Ghana, we have different cultures.
True.
But then we can still make it work when we say, okay, this is assessment for Ghanaians. Because we can pick and choose what works for all of us, right? And then in Nigeria, and then in Togo, and then in Benin, everybody will have their own assessment going on individually in their country. So I think that is how we should start and how we should go. This board giving us our own thing to do and not just running with it like that. Insurance insists on parent training though. So
I understand.
Yeah, they insist on parent training because they know that, of course, they don't want to be, I get where insurance is coming from, but it's also good because they don't want us going on and on working and then they are paying. They want us to equip the parents. So when we get to a point we can say, okay, now you're good, you can take care of your kid, or you can take care of your work, right? So definitely, I mean, I feel like even though I'm in the field, I feel like I'm more an educator. I see myself more educating people than actually doing the one-on-one work with the individuals. Because I feel like if I tell you what to do, you can help other people with it.
Correct.
So yeah, in other words,
a lot of workshops, a lot of like trainings with the police, with firefighters, with other community helpers, so that you know how to handle individuals with disabilities in our community.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. So in other words, with what you're saying is, because I remember you said you only have one resident BCBA in Ghana too, just like we have in Nigeria. How are these two people alone going to have to help put all of this together? So we are calling on, that means we have to probably whoever is planning to do this to be certified to please hurry up, get it done. Africa, please get it, because we need more people so that we can get more people on board, and then we can put all the framework together and begin to do something for our own people, for our own culture, for our own terrain. So we're trying to say something.
The funny thing about this is we have a lot of Nigerians who are BCBAs in the US.
Yes.
But they are not going home. We have a lot of Ghanaian BCBAs who are here.
Yes.
But we are not.
So we're calling on you guys. We're calling on you. Please just come for a few months for doing your summer. Let's make our home great again.
Who can also help you. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to come back home and you're trying to help, but nobody is helping you. The governing bodies are not helping you. We need the government.
I know that when the time comes, we will do something, but please, when we call on you, please network with every other person that would be able to help so we can make this ours too. We need to start building our own. So as we even begin to do that, and I think I can read what you're trying to say, that even as we do whatever we're doing, let's not forget to carry the parents along, which is one job that has not been done so well, simply because, I think what Wimpy was saying is, because insurance pays, and they don't want to keep paying, they want parents to be equipped. But here, parents pay by themselves, so whether insurance is paying or not, is the parent that's bearing, that knows what it's costing them. But what we want to say is, parents, you need to make yourself available, even as we try to make all of this what works for us in Africa, and West Africa, in Nigeria, in Ghana. Parents, we have a lot of role to play as a parent. Be involved, want to know what's happening with your child, get yourself equipped so that you don't keep paying on how to work with your child with the principle of applied behavior analysis.